Hello, so I am bringing you a very long-awaited, spontaneous AOS update. We are currently on, where's my phone? We are currently on the 9th of June today, and there's been a lot, but also not much going on with my current AOS process, I guess. I just want to start by saying I filed for AOS around mid to the end of March, and it took about, I'd say, 3 weeks-ish to hear anything back from USCIS. I would say it was probably between 3 to 4 weeks, which at the time I thought was way longer than a lot of people were hearing back from them. But I think that's around about the right kind of estimated time frame from filing to getting that notification once they've received it and are starting to process your paperwork. So I got a text on my phone. I would say it was probably mid-April. I got a text on my phone saying that they had received my I-485 form and my I-131 form, and along with those two texts I received 2 receipt numbers, and at the time, because I was so worried about why the process seemed to be taking longer than everyone else's that I was comparing mine to, so I was just thankful at the time to get any sort of text from USCIS. It did kind of alarm me at the time that I didn't get a text regarding the employment authorization form, but I just kind of thought, I know these things are processed by different people. I may get a text, you know, anytime between like sort of when I receive those initial texts to like, you know, a week or 2. So I wasn't too worried about that. I just was really thankful that the payment had been taken out and that they'd started finally working on my case. So I received those texts, and then I would say a couple of weeks later I got the receipts in the mail, and they were actually sent to an old address, so I had to go there and pick them up, and then I had the actual like copies. So I got one for the I-485 form, and then the one for advanced parole, and then still nothing for the employment authorization. Unfortunately, for the I-485 form, I did get a request for evidence, which I have just here. And I know that USCIS are sending out a lot of these at the moment, but I will just preface and say that this was kind of a mistake on our end when filing the form. It wasn't so much that they were being picky. Like, in hindsight, I understand why they sent a request for more evidence. So when you submit your I-485 form, you also submit another affidavit of support, and that's what they wanted more evidence for. In our situation, my husband's current job, he only started when we moved to the States, which was when I moved here. So he wasn't on the same income now that he was for last year's tax year. So last year's tax year was actually under the threshold of like the 125% household income. But obviously his income now is over 125%. We submitted last year's tax, but last year's tax didn't reflect this year's income. And they want last year's tax to reflect the 125% household income because they just want to see that your income is stable and that you know, your partner, it's more likely that they're going to be able to support you if they've been in the job for X amount of time, you know. It's kind of one of those like grey areas that I think that is a little bit subjective to who's reviewing your form, and there is nowhere on the form that says that last year's tax year had to meet the threshold. It just talks about your current income having to, so I think that's where the confusion was with us. But now that I know that that's something they really look for, is they focus on last year's tax year, so that's just something that I want to like bring more attention to, if you like, just so that people aren't in the same situation as we were. So we basically had to get a joint sponsor to also fill out the form, and the joint sponsor was my husband's grandmother, and she's retired, of course. However, she met the threshold for her assets. Only really just sent that off recently because it took a while to gather all the paperwork together, and we're communicating with someone on the other side of the country, so it's just taken a little bit longer than I would have hoped. I'm feeling super hopeful, but we've only just sent it off, so I can't give any sort of update in regards to that. The thing that's a little bit more frustrating, that really we could never have predicted this would happen. It's just one of those things that's so freaking annoying and could have happened to anyone in a similar situation as us. And I'm sure we're not the only ones that this has happened to. It was just, yeah, really annoying. When I got this, my heart sank. So in regards to the employment authorization form, we basically got a rejection letter, which is very bold and aggressive. It's like a luminous yellow or green. We, as I've mentioned a million times before, we filed and they received our package, our AOS package, just before the fees changed. And before the fees changed, the 3 forms were included in the one payment, which was, I actually can't remember the figure now, just over $1,000. And then after April 1st, the fees changed and you had to pay for each form. They received my package on like March 21st, something like that. And as you can see, they processed 2 forms. Normally, you know, I didn't have any problems with the payment, anything like that. But the person who processed this form thought that I hadn't included the payment for the form, because they looked at this and thought I'd filed after April 1st and rejected it because the payment wasn't included. However, they received it before April 1st when the payment wasn't necessary for this particular form. It's a bit confusing, but basically they messed up. So this came pretty quickly after receiving the other notice of actions. I decided to submit an inquiry to dispute this, and I spoke to a lady on the phone and she basically said you can either submit an inquiry or you can just file again and pay the fee, which is something like $260. And at the time, I had just received this, and at the time I was like, I'll submit an inquiry, I'll just wait to see if I can hear and dispute this some way. So I did that, and it basically said you'll hear from us within 30 days for all like non-urgent inquiries. 30 days came around, hadn't heard anything, and by this point I was getting really restless and just like pissed off, annoyed at USCIS, and like just wanting to be able to work and feeling frustrated that I was waiting longer than I had to because of a mistake on their end. So I gave it. I decided to file again, and then maybe down the line I can dispute the payment. I don't know, we'll cross that bridge. So on, I think it was like just over a week ago, maybe like 10 days ago, I filed again, sent everything off with USPS, and they received that within like 3 days. So that's currently where we're at in terms of the forms. I'm hoping, I've literally just noticed, this is like how my brain is just like brain fog at the moment. I feel like when I'm doing all the forms and filing, I'm trying to do it so perfect. I'm such a perfectionist. I'm trying to do everything like so perfectly that I overlook some like important things. And I've just noticed immigration process has just given me so much stress that I've overlooked placing this letter, which it says place this letter on top of your new filing package, and I've just completely forgotten to do that. Or just, I mean, it's in like big, like a big font, and it's on this green page, and I've forgotten to put it on top of the new filing package. But it doesn't say like it just says please enclose this letter. Like, it doesn't say it's compulsory, it'll be rejected if I don't. So I'm just like, please don't let this be another thing that like delays the process. This process is just sending me over the edge, honestly. So yeah, noticed that, but it's too late now. One thing that I will share with you that is slightly positive, and there has been a little bit of progress made. I did my biometrics on the 8th of May, and that was like the smoothest thing ever. Like, it was fine. I've heard horror stories of people queuing for like two hours, and then the actual like scanning of the fingers being over within like 10 seconds, which is just so annoying. But I was kind of, I'd seen all those horror stories, so I was like prepping for the worst, and then I came to do mine and it was a breeze. Honestly, it was absolutely fine. There was like 2 other people in front of me when I got there. I had to show my passport. Can't remember what I brought now with me, so I don't quote me on this. I brought my marriage certificate because on my passport it's a different name, of course. Then I had she took a look at my K1 visa, even though it expired by that point. I think I brought like my notice of actions just in case, and then the most important thing that you need is this form that you have to print off if you haven't received like a paper copy in the mail, and it's basically just a worksheet you have to complete, which is just like your name, age, race, gender, eye colour, height, weight. Went through, did like all the thumbs and the finger like prints, and then she took a photo of me, and that was literally it. I was out the door within like a minute. Like, it was so short. I think it's the queuing that people talk about, but for me the queue was like literally fine. She like signed it, which you're supposed to hold on to, which just says that you've been and done your biometrics. That's kind of where I'm at now in the AOS process. It's been a really stressful couple of months, because it's not just the AOS things that stresses you out. When you've just moved to another country, it's everything. And then this, when it's not smooth, it's just like crap. It's been a journey. My cat's just sneezing in the back. You alright? Worse things could have happened. My whole like package could have got lost in the mail, all of that kind of stuff. I'm trying to look at the bigger picture and just be thankful that I'm here with my husband and we're alive and well and happy and having the best time here in the States. and my mum's coming to visit soon, so I'm really, really excited to see her. I just think what I'm looking forward to is to start working now. I've actually started volunteering at the local SPCA, so that's been really, really, really nice to be back working with animals. But aside from that, I'm just waiting, I think, to feel like more of a citizen, because right now I still feel like I'm visiting because the immigration stuff is all like pending, whereas I just want to like get to it and start working now and just have more of a normal life than not having much purpose being here whilst my husband's at work every day. And just, I don't know, I feel like those of you that are in this process will understand and resonate with that. You have a lot of time to like think when you're in this like limbo phase of not working because you're at home so much. But as I said, I'm super grateful to be here with him and to just have the waiting in the UK behind us. Being here and going through all of this does not take away from the fact that I'm really, really, really happy to be with him finally. It's just, when you don't have much to do, you stress on the little things, and because the AOS process is so expensive, that comes into it as well. You just think, fuck, like, I could really do with that $260 that I didn't need to spend because someone else messed up. So yeah, there's been a lot going on, but then also not so much. It's like a weird one of just still being in that awkward phase of the whole process. Hoping now that everything's sent off, we can make some progress there. Right, I'm going to stop rambling on now. I hope that you could pull some bits of useful information about that. Just especially the one thing that I will say is that make sure if your partner does not meet the 125% for last year's tax year, just use a joint sponsor, because unless they have the right amount of assets, use a joint sponsor, don't risk it. And then I will also say, try not to overlook these kind of things that are staring at you in the face, but because you're so like thinking about the nitty-gritty details, you just don't see like stuff like that, which is what's, my brain's just not working in that way at the moment. But yeah, good luck guys. If you have any questions, do let me know and I will keep you updated. Bye.